Yes, Ivy Youth, I hope you are doing well. Welcome back to Monday nights. It seems to have been ages since we've had any sort of teaching because we've had half term, we've had a light party, and we've also had the fireworks social, which was amazing. And it was so good to see so many of you bring friends, and no one got blown up, so a win all around. But if you remember way back when, I think it was about a month ago, we were in this series called God's Kingdom. And basically in this series, we are looking at what it's like to have Jesus as our King. And when we have Jesus as our King and we're living in his kingdom, how does it impact these three questions of who am I, do I belong, and what difference can I make? And we plan to do 2 sessions on each topic, and we've already done 2 sessions on who am I, and that was incredible. And we've done 1 on do I belong, and tonight is the second part of that, the second session on belonging. But before we go and look at tonight's topic, tonight's section of belonging, let's have a quick recap, because I said before it's been about a month since we had a look. So let's have a quick recap of what we looked at last time. If you remember last time, we looked at Ivy Youth being a place where you should 100% feel like you belong, 100% feel like you can be yourself. This is because Ivy Youth is a church, and a church is a place where everyone is welcome, everyone belongs. However, churches haven't been known for this. And if you remember that the 2 most common traits that non-Christians give to Christians is that we are judgmental and we are hypocritical. Everything that Jesus calls us not to be. And therefore, we discussed last time that a big part of us feeling like we belong is creating a place where we're not judgmental. And if you remember, we did 3 points that help us to not be judgmental, and they are: number 1 is the culture in God's kingdom is confession culture, not cancel culture. So we focus on confessing what we have done wrong, not focusing on what others have done wrong. Number 2 is that we lead with compassion and not condemnation. We understand that people have struggles. Every single one of us has struggles, and we don't want to look down on people because of those struggles. We want to support and encourage them. And finally, we love each other the way which we want to be loved. And that is what we're going to be looking at more detail tonight, is the way that Jesus wants us to love people. But by doing these 3 things, remember, by doing these 3 things, Ivy Youth can be this amazing church where we are welcoming people from all walks of life. But not only does Ivy Youth become a place where everyone is loved, valued, and accepted. Remember back to our first week that we did when we looked at our identities, and remember that we carry God's kingdom into the places. We'll look at that in more detail as well tonight, that we carry God's kingdom into the places that we go to, and therefore by us doing those 3 points at school or at college, we are extending God's kingdom, and the invite to our friends and the invite to the people in our classes, to them, the invite to them to be in God's kingdom. We're moving around today. We've come upstairs to do the second part, Sign Ryder Cup photo, golf clubs, pride and joy. Beautiful. So tonight we are looking at the second part of belonging, which is us looking at our kingdom place. And our kingdom place is with God's people. You belong with God's people. God created us to be in community with himself, but he also created us to be in community with others. And we don't have to earn our love or earn our acceptance or earn our place with God's people. We belong together because of what Jesus has done for us. With is the big word here because it symbolizes the heart of God to be near us, to be among us. No, not that game. We're not going back to lockdown. He longs to be close to us as his beloved children. Our truest belonging is not dependent on our success or failures. It's already been decided by the unconditional love that God has for you. We are about to enter the Christmas season. I just absolutely love it.
Okay, people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Santa's coming to town. Santa!
And in the Christmas season, we are going to hear about Emmanuel, that God came down to be with us. That's what Emmanuel means. And Jesus' life on earth is all about how God put on human flesh, and we learn about his commitment to be with us. But not only with us, that he came down and he modeled how we are to be with one another. And Jesus summarizes it perfectly for us here in John chapter 13, verses 34 to 35. We are to be known for our love. That's the way that everyone should know that we are Christians, because of the way that we love one another. An unconditional love is not earned, and it's not based on performance. We belong with one another as the church because of what Jesus has done for us. So look around the room, look at everyone's faces. No one belongs here more than any other person. We all equally belong. And church is the place that we can be our true selves, because we can talk about our struggles without any judgment. We can talk about our triumphs, and we can cheer each other on. Because when we look around the room, we can see that we are all brothers and sisters in Jesus. And finally, Jesus wasn't just with his disciples for his time on earth. Remember that when Jesus went back to be with God in heaven, that he said he would pour out his Spirit so that God could be with us until the very end of the age. The Holy Spirit is God with us at every moment of every day. It's how we are friends with God. So when we are living in God's kingdom and accepted our kingdom place, we belong with God, connected to him through the Holy Spirit. And we also belong with God's people. And as God's people, we are committed to radically loving each other the way in which Jesus loved us.